Hey there, yogi. This class is a gentle yoga class focused on the hamstrings. For this class, you're going to want 2 blocks and a strap. And when you're ready, we'll meet in a seated position in the middle of your mat. So getting started, so nice to be able to prop up your hips and give yourself some elevation as you come into your Sukhasana, your easy seat. Crossing ankles and bringing your head tall, and we'll just do a little bit to warm the upper body before we get going. So you can start by bringing shoulders up to the ears, maybe kissing your earlobes, and then slowly drawing your shoulders back down. Yeah, you can wiggle a little bit, and then maybe continue that, right? Shoulders up to ears, bringing them back down. Giving yourself a moment to just get into your body, get into the practice, twist and turn and, move a bit, maybe side to side. If you want, you can join me making some circles with your upper body around in your hips and your waist. And, switch directions at any time, rotating and moving. And let's give ourselves just a couple more moments to kind of get the wiggles out and find our way into class, and maybe even give yourself a couple of deep breaths now. So big breath in and let it out. Let's do that again. Big breath in and let it out. Let's continue and just kind of stretch out the arm bones, knowing that we're going to spend a lot of time in the lower body today. So we'll open up the shoulders and the heart space a bit. Inhale, you can reach your hands up to the sky. Big breath in. And then let it go. Just a couple more, just like that. Pressing your seat into the ground and feeling nice and tall in your spine. Let's do one more just like that. And then next inhale, so reach hands up to the sky, and if you'd like, you can turn to a side. This is my favorite way to begin. Right, pressing down into the ground, lifting up through the crown of the head. Twist and turn a bit. Turn your gaze over your shoulder. Give yourself a breath here, and let it go. So slowly, each breath, if you can try pressing your sits bones into the ground, and maybe get a little taller in your spine, and maybe twist a bit more. Yeah. Last breath on this side. And then slowly, maybe reaching hands back up to the sky. Stretch up nice and tall. Give this an opportunity to be a pose, a shape, a transition and in between, and then we'll switch and turn to the other side. Pressing your hands into the ground if you can. If not, you can grab a block and place it underneath your hand and use that to press away, right? Just like you're pressing through your seat, and finding that length in the spine and length in the crown of the head. Spinal twist for me is just this, it's like this delicious way to open. Get the heart space and the shoulders expanding. And it can also be really energizing. Waking up, getting ready for the day. On your next inhale, sweep hands up to the sky, big breath in. Exhale, let's bring hands down to heart center and just offer yourself a moment to be here and now. Landing in your seat and maybe offering yourself a mantra. An I am. It can be aspirational. I am peaceful. I am kind. I am compassionate. I am present. I am at ease. I am supported. And letting that land in your heart. Just offer a breath here to clear it. Let it land. Awesome. All right, so we're going to work on the hamstrings today, and we're going to do that a couple of different ways. So we can enter in from our tabletop, and we'll be there for just a moment. And then we'll transition. So have all your props nearby. The blocks will be towards the top of your mat. And you can bring the blanket right underneath your knees. And so pressing hands into the ground. Again, let's just do a couple of cat and cows. I did our power class yesterday, I taught it, and we did a lot of planks. And I can tell you that each of these cat and cows is like the most nourishing thing to soften the core and to find a little bit of relief there. Whew. Yoga gets to be this thing that we come back to and find recentering and finding rebalancing and just reset. It doesn't have to be this, intense experience, right? It can be really light and easy and nourishing. Let's do one more exchange here. And then coming back to hands and knees. If you'd like, you can send one leg back behind you. Doesn't matter which one. And as you send the leg back, your ball of your foot is pressing into the ground. And most importantly, you're drawing the heel back. So imagining the heel is on a string and it's being pulled back behind you. And so that you have that length now in the leg, maybe squeezing the thigh. Finding spaciousness, openness, a lot of breath. And then wherever you are, and this is the thing about having, maybe if you have tight hamstrings or if you have some tension in your body, the best thing you can do is also start to retract a little bit. So, come back about a third of the way or 30%. And that's where you want to be. And then, occasionally you can pulse all the way back down just to know where your bar is. But you want to be at about like 70% of your full capacity. And that's where we'll find really like the most long-lasting stretches in the legs. So just offer one more breath here. And if you want, you can lift the leg and let's just turn and stir that femur bone in the hip socket a bit. Perfect. And then we'll come back to center. Let's do the cat and cows again. And then round and empty. Coming back to hands and knees now, you can press into the ground and then send left leg back, or the other leg, whichever one you haven't done yet. Your hamstring will tell you. And then just as before, let's start by stretching like just all the way, letting that heel be pulled backwards. Making sure to strengthen through the core, keep strong here in the belly. Keep pressing all 10 fingertips into the mat. So reminding yourself, right, that your hands are pressing into the ground. And then from here, let's draw back about 30%. Find that space. And then you can kind of pulse again and see, is that about where I should be? And that's where we'll land in this pose for the next 5 or so breaths. Finding spaciousness and stretch in any muscle, in any tissue, is about bringing it into balance, right? So if we overdo, if we always just try to expand it as far as it'll go, think of it like a rubber band, right? If we're always stretching something at capacity, then as soon as it's released, it's going to retract, and it'll retract big. So if we come at it from less, right, a 70%, 50%, then what we can provide is more long-lasting relief and release. And so keeping that belly strong, drawing into spine, maybe lift up that leg. And then again, you can stir the leg and the femur bone, right? So we can't just be in the one area that you have a whole connected body. And in this whole connected body, all these parts and pieces are working together. Make sure to turn and twist in both directions. And so with this connected body, it's never just one place. Coming back down to center, let's find that cat and cow one more time. Whew. And then let's take knees wide and bring toes to touch. And we're going to come into child's pose for a moment. So you can stretch your arms long. This is really about the hips. And here in your hips. Sometimes it takes a lot of size to allow the hips to soften or expand or open. If you find that your hips are elevated well over, hovering above your heels, then one nice thing to do just to help and support the body is to bring a blanket in between the thighs and the knees. That gives you some really nice support. We're going to be here for, again, another 5 or 8 breaths, so I'm going to go grab another blanket so I can demonstrate that. Because it is really nice, even if you have open hips, sometimes to have this extra bit of support. So you'll find your blanket, same width as if it's on the mat, and then you just roll it up, kind of thread it back there. It can be a bit of a trick. You have to reach behind your back. There we go. But once you get it, sitting on that can be really nice. So right in between your thighs and your calves. Let's offer just a couple more breaths in this child's pose shape. Today's one of those days where I feel like I'm just constantly unloading the nervous system. Finding more relaxation and release. When you're ready, you can get back up through tabletop. You're going to want your block now. So like I said, we're one connected body, so there's some different parts and pieces that we're going to work here. Grab your block, and if you'd like, you can bring it behind your seat, underneath your seat. Sometimes it's nice to have 2, so like a stack of 2. Try to demonstrate it from both angles. So my knees are forward, and I can sit onto the blocks just like that. Yeah. So wide, so you have some space. And then when you're ready, we're going to curl over the toes. This is one big piece of, again, if you have tight hamstrings, another way in which we can work this out. You're curling under the toes, so the toes are tucked underneath the feet, and then you can sit down on the blocks, and this is big toe stretch. And what you'll get to do here is stretch open the feet a bit. And it can be really intense. So you can do this without blocks. And I have been practicing this a bit lately. I'm going to try to do it without. And we'll be here for just a few breaths because it gets intense really fast. Whew. This is where the breath comes in and can be really, really helpful and nourishing. All right, so let's come off the block. You can come back through a tabletop, and then we just uncurl the toes and just tap the tops of the feet on the ground. Yeah. And then we'll do it again. So tuck under the toes and really find the angle of your feet. So I think sometimes I concentrate a little bit too much on the big toe, and I miss, just based on the anatomy of my feet, it's easy to miss all the other ones. So sometimes I have to turn a bit, right, to really get more stretch in more toes. And again, it's another way to open up the feet and work, right, either side of the anatomy. And I don't know that it ever becomes not intense. I don't know if it ever becomes easy, this shape. I think maybe I do feel like I've been practicing this, kind of adding it into my routine over the last couple of weeks. And I am noticing that this is a little bit easier on my body, but anyway, we'll come out of it and uncurl the toes and really slowly tap the feet. This is one where the blocks can come in and really make the difference between something that's not tolerable and something that, again, has a lot of support and importance for the body. So let's take these blocks forward. And we're going to step 1 foot forward. So coming into a low lunge, and you can bring your blocks up nice and tall for this. So wiggle your foot. I have my right foot forward. Wiggle your front foot forward. And then bring yourself onto tall blocks. And I like to have my fingertips up on the blocks because I like to get really, really tall in the front line of my body. And again, really feeling that plank class yesterday. You do want to tone the belly here, right? So stabilize through the hips. And you're pressing into the ground. And this is one where we can start to strengthen through the hamstrings. So depending on the angle of your lunge, maybe inch your foot a little bit forward so you can really work the underside of your leg, right? So that's working your hamstrings a bit. Press your heel, that front heel into the ground. Press the toes into the ground, those nice wide stretched toes now. Press down and then see maybe if you can bring your hips nice and even. So drawing that front hip back, the back hip forward, strengthening through the belly, and then if you're really having enough support, you can lift your hands up off the blocks. I find that lately my knee and I keep having conversations about this shape in particular. So, all of us, we all need adaptations. And I think really often we can feel like, if I need something like a special arrangement, there's something wrong. But I'm constantly making adaptations for my body. Constantly. And, in this practice, that's just what goes. So when you're ready, we're going to use these blocks, start to bend back, start to lift up your front toes, and you can kind of wiggle your foot forward. There's a couple different ways to make this shape, but I like to stay elevated whenever possible, keeping the head up nice and tall, and then dig that front heel in. And the action here to really start to work the hamstring is a strengthening, right? So we're strengthening here and then drawing the hip back, drawing the right hip back. So feeling into that. And you're continuing to press into the heel. And again, we'll be here for just, 5 or so breaths. And then when you're ready, we'll slowly drag the heel a bit so we can place the foot back down. Maybe shift the weight so we have those blocks back up at the top of the mat. And then when you're ready, step the foot back. And then we'll step the other foot forward. Finding, again, your shape here. And, like I said before, I am always giving myself adaptation. So on one side, it feels really nice to curl my back toes and give myself a grip. And that is much better for my knee. And on this side, flattening the foot feels a lot better. So I think really often, again, I hear all the time from people about, really trying to find what is the right way to do a pose. And, your body is changing every single day. We're experiencing different things, habitual movements, non-habitual movements, mental, emotional experiences that leave our bodies feeling maybe more open or soft, maybe stronger or more tense. There's just a shape, a base shape that we work with, and then an infinite number of adaptations that we make to really find that fit for you on any given day. So strengthening through your belly, really finding the shape here and pressing into that front heel. We'll give it just 1 or 2 more breaths. Again, finding the version that works for you. On this side, it's comfortable for me to lift my hands and be without the blocks. And on the other, it's just not, right? There's tenderness. There are different shifts you have to make. It's just part of having a human body, right? So when you're ready, you can inch your toes forward, press heel into the ground. Press the heel, strengthen through the back of your body. You're strengthening through the hamstring here, drawing it back. Getting nice and tall. And again, use the strength of your belly to tone and let yourself land here. And we're pressing. This is a strengthening shape. We still have a stretch ahead of us. So, make sure that you're pressing in through that heel, right? That you're squeezing some muscles back here. You're using the glute, right? You're using your thigh muscle. You're strengthening and pressing. Give it just a couple more breaths. Yeah, and then slowly you can drag that heel back and we'll move the blocks to the side. This last part of practice, you'll want to move your blanket to the side and you'll want your strap, and we can come right down onto the earth and hug knees into chest. If you'd like, you can rock and roll a bit side to side just to kind of orient your back body on the earth. This is how I start to notice, get your shoulders in the right place, kind of wiggle yourself into a decent alignment. And then when you're ready, and grab your strap. Again, it doesn't matter which side. I always start on my right. And you're going to bring the strap around the ball of the foot. So that's right underneath the toes, right? It's the muscular part of your leg where you can press into the strap and activate your leg muscles. And then you crawl your hands up the strap and wrap it around the palms of your feet. So you're pressing the foot into the strap, right? It's active. So often we come into these shapes and, it's just kind of like, it can get really floppy. We don't want that here, right? We want strong, long, open legs. So press your foot into the strap, draw the strap back down towards your body, and breathe here. The only way this can be effective at all is if you're breathing. It's the way in which we relax the nervous system. And that's how we shift and make changes in the body. It's not from stressing it. Right? If we're looking to open tissues and muscles, do that through lightly pressing and through breathing. When you're ready, we're going to bring the strap into your opposite hand and then draw the leg just an inch or two across the body, keeping the foot pressing into the strap, keeping the strap drawing back down towards your body. And you should feel this on the outside of your thigh and the outside of your hip, the outside of your shin, lower leg. And again, we'll just give it a breath or two. And then when you're ready, you can switch hands, wrap the strap, and then send it out to the side. Slowly. This is where pressing into the strap and the strap drawing back down towards your body is super, super important. Because now we're starting to open up the inside of the thigh. And the strengthening of your leg, right? Strengthening, activating your leg muscles as this happens is really important. It helps to stabilize the body. It helps to keep all your musculature, working together. When you're ready, you can slowly bring your leg back up to the sky. You can hug your knee, release the strap, give it a squeeze. And then this is always the miracle moment for me. You can send both legs down long on your mat. And just notice how the two legs feel. For me, the leg that I just stretched and moved feels like about an inch or 2 inches longer than the other one. When you're ready, you can hug your opposite knee into your chest. And when you're ready, you can grab that strap and wrap it around the ball of your foot. And here, again, we'll crawl the hands up towards the foot. Wrap the strap around the palm so that your arms can be a bit heavy. Sometimes that's enough working with gravity to get that pull back down towards the body, and then just a light press of the foot into the strap. This should be working your hamstring. Again, we want to be doing it from a place of balance. It's not just stretching, although stretching feels really good, but really finding length and space here. So pressing into the strap, allowing the strap to drop back down towards your body. And feeling that balance. When I first learned this sequence, I immediately went out and bought a yoga strap. I was a senior in college, and I can tell you that I did this sequence pretty much every day, even through all of my busyness and finals and finding a job and writing a thesis. This was my go-to. When you're ready, you can bring your strap into the opposite hand and start to draw the leg across the body over to the other side. At some point during senior year, we went on spring break down to a tropical place, and it was awesome. And I can tell you that every single day, at least once, I laid on the beach and stretched my legs like this. It was like the ultimate relaxation. When you're ready, again, keeping that engagement, we'll switch hands one more time. And this is where it becomes really, really important. Make sure that your body, your arm is pulling the strap back down towards your body and that your foot is pressing into it. And as you can open up. Start to draw it out to the side. Nice wide stretch. And again, here, just like everywhere else, we're breathing. Give it just 2 more breaths. And when you're ready, coming back up through center, slowly releasing the leg, giving it a hug just for good measure, and then send your leg long and notice. What does it feel like now? And from here, if you'd like to add a blanket over your body, give yourself some warmth and support, you can. And we'll rest here on the earth. Soaking it all in. Savasana. If you find that you need to make some adjustments to your body to really land here, then, draw your shoulder blades maybe a little closer together. Send your legs long. Let your toes splay out to the sides. And you can stay here as long as you'd like. If you're ready to move on with your day, you can slowly bend knees, give them a squeeze. And that's it. I'll let you end here, dear yogi. You can bring your thumb knuckles to forehead center if you'd like. Honoring and recognizing you showing up and the movement, and the mobility, and all that you accomplished in this time together. Way to go, yogi. Namaste.